As you know, on Rays Live, the pregame, periodically we check with some of the minor league teams down on the farm. But for the first time this season, we're going down to Port Charlotte and the Single-A Charlotte Stone Crabs. Their play-by-play man, John Vittas, nice enough to join us on the pregame show. John, with all due respect to the rest of the Stone Crabs team, because I know it's been a great season for you all, everybody wants to talk about the Wander Franco show. You've had an up-close and personal front row seat to seeing this phenom play. What's that experience been like?
Well, thank you, Rich. I appreciate it. And watching Franco play over the last 2 months has been just an unbelievable experience. Right away, when you look at him, he stands out on the field. He's got the gold chains hanging. His arms are completely tatted up. He's got a blonde mohawk down the center of his head, and he just has the baseball movements. He's built well. He looks like a shortstop, and his split-second bursts, whether it be with the bat, whether it be the ball flying out of his hand or running the bases, it just stands out, and it's different from everybody else. And he just doesn't seem to have a bad day. He never slumps. He rarely strikes out. He's been like no other player I've seen in my 3 years here.
It's interesting because there's been so much chatter about all the tools that he possesses. He's a true five-tool player. What do you think stands out the most to you watching him game in, game out that will play so well at the big league level?
Well, his plate discipline is the best I've seen. I mean, like I said, he almost never strikes out. If he does, it's almost always looking. And when he does, you know that the umpire probably made a mistake. So his ability to take pitches that are close, wait for his pitch, and always swing at good pitches, I think that's the key for Wander, because when he's swinging at good pitches out over the plate, he's going to square them up with his natural hand-eye coordination. So I think that's what separates him. Our manager, Jeff Smith, has oftentimes compared him to Joe Mauer, who he coached at the Major League level. His ability to make velocity look a lot slower. 98 looks like 88 when Wander Franco is taking it.
Interesting point. And I know from talking to you in the past, you talk about a comparison that might be appropriate to a certain superstar playing with the Yankees and Gleyber Torres.
Yeah, my first year in the minors, I got a chance to watch Gleyber Torres up close and personal for an entire season. They were both teenagers at the time. Gleyber, of course, was with the Cubs. That was right before the Aroldis Chapman trade. They're very similar, but I don't think there's a comparison that's quite right for Franco. I think Francisco Lindor comes to mind, a switch-hitting shortstop, and other guys that play the game with a lot of flair. But in terms of comparing Gleyber to Wander, I think Wander's very far ahead, even though he's a year younger than Gleyber was at this level. Gleyber had some slumps. He had a lot more swing and miss to his game. Wander is ultra consistent. He never seems to have a bad day. And that goes back to what he told me his father used to tell him all the time back in the Dominican Republic. He said, if you have a bad at-bat, stay confident and go back to the plate with the utmost confidence in your next at-bat. And that really is how he plays the game. And
that confidence shows. He wears it on his sleeve. Last question for you, John. John Vittas joining us on Rays Live, the pregame, the play-by-play man for the Charlotte Stone Crabs. We've talked about Wander as a player on the field, in between the lines. What do his teammates say about playing with him? How does he handle the fame that comes with being the overall #1 prospect in the minor leagues?
He plays the game with so much excitement. He brings so much energy to the ballpark, and I think his teammates really appreciate that. He's very well liked in the clubhouse. The guys have a blast being out on the field with him. He's always smiling. He's always, hugging players before and after the game, his teammates and the opponent. He brings a lot of exuberance to the field, and it really never seems to go away. He's just a ball of energy. At 18 years old, you would hope that he would be, and he just plays the game with so much joy. The players really adore him, and the younger players look up to him. He's only 18, but we've had Gulf Coast League players who are down on the backfields playing at the lowest level of the minors. They'll come to our clubhouse, and Wander will give them batting gloves and bats and pat them on the back and try and wish them well in their baseball journey. So all the guys like him, and really the opponents enjoy watching him too, because he'll give him a big hug after the game. He likes to compete, but at the same time, he likes the cameras, he likes the attention, and really he is a fun guy to be around. Something tells me there's a lot more stories and a lot more highlights to come from Wander Franco. You get a front row seat. I am envious of that. John Vittas, play-by-play man for the Charlotte Stone Crabs. Thanks for joining us on the show. Thank you, Rich. I appreciate it. Well, one day sooner than later, we'll see him up in the bigs. Coming up on the show, pick your poison for the Houston lineup. Alex Bregman, one of the most lethal bats. We'll talk about him and the rest of them.